Hi, this is Superboo3 and today we're going to be continuing our playthrough of Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments. I'm just heading back to Baker Street because I don't think there's anything more that we can find at the scene of the crime. I'm going to see if there's any dialogue we can start with Watson or something.
Good gracious, you caught someone. At least now you have a suspect.
Okay, that didn't achieve anything.
Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire. My analysis table. It is useful.
I'm just going to see if there's any letters or anything because he... Oh, wait a second. I'm guessing these bankrupt papers are going to be the most important. This is suspicious because he went missing on a boat. The guy who got killed was a whaler.
Now I begin to understand that young man's story, but I am still unclear as to what connects him with the murder. It is time to ask him.
Okay, so I guess it's back to Scotland Yard. Hey, so basically the bank they were in lost loads of money. He disappeared amongst his yacht in Norway. We know that Pete, I think it's Black Pete, the murder victim. He was a whaler in Scandinavia, so he was around those parts as well. So that at least links this boy to the man somehow. I mean, I certainly don't think the boy committed the murder because I don't know if you remember, but when we did the character portrait of the boy, he was said to have a thin neck, which I'm guessing is supposed to mean that he was weak. Now, if we think of the thin neck, then, and that meaning he's weak, from what we did with the harpoon, he wouldn't have been strong enough to throw the harpoon and impale the sailor on the wall. Okay, I'm just going to stay a bit quiet here while this interrogation continues.
I have heard the story of Dawson and Nelligan, the West Country bankers.
Yes, Joshua Nelligan was my father.
I am aware that it had a bad ending. When the bank failed, it ruined half the families of Cornwall, whereupon Joshua Nelligan disappeared.
My father was under extraordinary pressure. Dawson had retired. I was only 10 years of age at the time, but it was still old enough to feel the shame that befell our family. My father was convinced that he could pay off all his debts if the creditors gave him time. He set sail for Hammerfest in Norway in his small yacht just a few days before an arrest warrant was issued. He left my mother a list of the securities he was taking. No word was ever heard from him again. We believe that his vessel went down, taking with it everyone and everything on board.
Thank you for the story, Mr. Nelligan. At last, we are making some progress. Interesting. Joshua Nelligan and Peter Carey were both at sea in Norway. There is definitely some connection between Peter Carey and Joshua Nelligan's disappearance.
Oh look, they actually would have chained him to the floor. That's pretty freaking scary. Alright. I'm guessing... Okay, there is no intuition thing. Let's see if we can use any of the other rooms now.
Locked.
There's this one. No. Maybe I can find something in the evidence room. I'm actually not sure what they're expecting me to do at this point because now we know that there's a connection, but that hasn't actually Wait, what's this over here? Oh, that's the door handle, sorry. Maybe we can make more sense out of this now.
These abbreviations mean something.
Nope, still nothing, sorry. Maybe I should actually go... Aha, I know. We've got the ship... Whoops, I seem to have got stuck. We've got the ship's records in Woodman's Lee, which is on the shelf. There's a log that I kept on looking at, assuming that it would at some point tell me something. But now we finally have a date to look. Well, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping just that Sherlock knows the dates of when the arrest warrant was. Otherwise I'm going to need to go back to Baker Street and read more letters. I actually think the graphics in this game are fairly decent. At first I was... Well, to be honest, I didn't really have high expectations of this game, but I think it looks a lot nicer than I expected it to.
1883. That's the one I need. This is the crew list of the Sea Unicorn.
We don't see any familiar names yet, so we're looking for Dawson's or
Log notes for
other name.
Nothing unusual. Log notes for July. Nothing special. Log notes for August. These pages have been torn away. Log notes for August. These pages have been torn away. Canadian Pacific Railway, CPR. A torn piece from a bond certificate. I have seen this abbreviation somewhere very recently. There are 3 ways of discovering what happened in August of 1883 aboard the Sea Unicorn. The first 2 of these will require speaking with a dead man. The last would be to locate vital witnesses, the sailors involved in this whale hunt campaign.
Okay, so now the logbook. Now comes on it. Find a use. A piece of stock exchange certificate. The ships. Okay, I don't... Alright, so I'm guessing we're going to need to interrogate these people. We also... wait a minute. We need to interrogate these people. And now we can make something of that logbook. So I think we should go to Scotland Yard. Maybe Lestrade can help us track down the other sailors. And I'm trying to think. Yeah, he'll help us track down the sailors. And I think the logbook was in the police station with Nelligan's belongings, so that's what we'll need to check. I do apologise if I'm going through this slowly. Apparently I'm finding this harder than most people would. But then we should be able to make something of these numbers.
I wonder if these are connected.
So CPR here.
Now we have the proof that Nelligan's papers were indeed here. It seems that they have vanished, however.
We've got a new thing that we can connect. think those two are the only connections they could be. Yeah, I think he's innocent. This is interesting. I wonder if this is what affects the case's outcome. Well, I thought I need to see Lestrade. I could try and talk to the kid. Because now we got reason to understand why he was there.
Tell me, Mr. Nelligan, what exactly were you hoping to find inside Peter Carey's cabin?
I was trying to find some information about my father.
The bond certificate, I think, is the most likely thing. Yeah.
I assume you had another purpose, to retrieve the bond certificates. Am I correct?
Yes. I discovered some time ago that a few of the missing securities had reappeared on the London market. You can imagine my amazement. I spent months trying to find them, and at last I discovered that the original seller had been Captain Peter Carey. These papers, they belonged to my family, but I could not find them there.
Well, I will see you soon, young man.
So that Peter Carey's not looking as innocent as he might have first seemed.
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
Okay, let's see what's on my to-do list, because I want to go to the right place. Wiggins. Oh, okay, he's at Baker Street. I wish they introduced these characters a bit better, because I've got no clue who Wiggins is. But it does kind of prove a point that you should actually be looking in your casebook constantly in this game. If you don't do that, you're going to be lost. He certainly does make detective work look fun.
Something new, Watson. I have the list of sailors who were aboard the Sea Unicorn. We shall soon learn what happened to Nelligan's father. I have only to find them. Let us hope they are still working at the harbour.
I think that if you pretend you're from Scotland Yard...
I doubt it, Watson. And really, I would prefer that all of this remains quiet for now. But I have another solution. I'll call in the specialist.
And who might they be?
The secret police division of Baker Street.
Ah, you mean young Wiggins and his gang?
Yes. Believe me, you'll receive more useful assistance from these little urchins than from a dozen yard detectives. Those children are everywhere. They see and hear everything, and they are cunning. All they lack is organization. I'll summon them.
How will you do that?
There is always a watch beneath our window. I have only to call him.
This is interesting. By the way, just in case you didn't know, Sherlock Holmes always thinks that Scotland Yard is completely incompetent.
Yes, please.
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
Wiggins, I need you to track down certain people for me. I'll give you a list. You can read, can't you?
Big Oliver from our gang. He can, because his father is the coachman of a famous lawyer.
Fascinating. Here is the list of sailors.
Sailors? Easy. Just got to look where the rum and the red lights are.
Sherlock Holmes is so sarcastic, it's brilliant.
Sorry to trouble you, Mr. Holmes, but the inspector asks that you come to the station as soon as possible.
Thank you. I'll be there shortly.
I'm wondering if there's going to be a time limit on this case. Wait, sorry, what were my options? I just go to Scotland Yard. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, he just cracks me up with how sarcastic he is about everything he's saying to everyone. It's brilliant. I guess though, if you were the world's greatest detective, you'd probably just, well, being the world's greatest, I think it's going to give you a slight air of arrogance. I mean, he doesn't even need to read anymore. Now he's just chilling with his pipe. Oh yeah, sorry, I was going to say, I'm wondering if this is going to give us a time limit on the case, effectively. Because, I mean, he might be just trying to arrest this guy to push the case straight through.
Mr. Holmes, I'm glad to see you.
As always, what happened?
We have a new suspect, Liam Hurtley. I'm thinking that this case will be resolved very quickly now.
Interesting. Pray tell.
Well, the constable that I left at Woodman's Lee noticed a suspicious individual prowling around during the night.
Do you have him here?
Yes. He refuses to speak with us, but we'll make him talk.
Let us hope so.
Ah, yes, and one more thing. The constable told me that at the time of his arrest, the fellow was writing a letter.
Do you have it?
Of course. It's in the evidence room, at your disposal. Admit that for once, Mr. Holmes, Scotland Yard is a step ahead of you, eh?
Breathtaking.
Ah, this is brilliant. Right, let's check this stuff out. We need to try and draw some connections between things.
Belongings. Liam Hurtley's old boots. They're a size 9.5.
Well, considering Carey's was 8, this is likely the...
A pen?
from the mud. Remember there's footprints in the garden.
The stains are fresh. They can be removed with the proper chemicals.
Right, we've got a couple of things to do. Interrogate this guy, analyse the chemicals at Baker Street. I'm wondering if it's better to... I think it's better to gather all evidence that I can use against this guy. So I do apologise for forcing you to watch some loading screens, but I don't think it makes sense to go up to this guy without as much evidence as possible. Because if he's refusing to talk as is, so we can definitely put a lot more pressure on the guy if we can go, yeah, well, your boots match these footprints. Not sure what's going to show up on the paper. All I know is that when I was walking around looking for stuff to look at in Baker Street, they mentioned that he had a chemistry table. I think that's going to be like one of the main fields that Sherlock Holmes knew lots about.
These boots match the footprints exactly.
Yep, he's busted that guy. Is there something new we can connect? Yeah, okay, that makes sense, because we know that if there's no gardener, there should be no other footprints.